Part 1 of If the Beasts Were Real. I'm starting off easy, at least I hope I am, with the griffon. So for those who don't know, a griffon is a half lion, half bird, typically eagle, with the head and wings of a bird, sometimes the forelimbs, and a body of a lion. This was originated in the 7th century BC, has then integrated into Greek and Roman mythology, and has been seen across the Asiatic cultures for many, many, many years. It's usually seen as a protector of treasures. Now, conveniently, both the lion and the eagle are carnivores and hunters in most cases, so that makes my job a little bit easier figuring out how this would actually work. I have certainly seen some depictions of the beasts with teeth, but I don't think it's necessary. The eagle's beak is well suited for tearing up flesh. They also have a tomial tooth, which is a little section on their beak, and I learned in researching for this, also some papilla on their tongue that helps manipulate flesh in their mouth. There's kind of like little projections that point backwards. So I think you've got everything you need at the front end for tearing apart meat to swallow. After that, the question is, what kind of digestive tract would they have? Now, birds do have a very different digestive tract. They have a crop at the top for storing food. They then have the proventriculus, which is meant for sort of removing indigestibles like hair or feathers. And then you have it go down to the gizzard, which grinds up the food, followed by the small intestines for digestion and actual absorption. Compare that to a mammalian digestive tract, which we probably know much better, which is stomach, small intestines, large intestines. So, I initially thought we would probably be dealing with a mammalian digestive tract, probably just because it was a lion body, so I assumed the organs would be mammalian. But I ran into a problem as soon as I started thinking about reproduction, and it comes down to a fundamental problem. If you have babies, they cannot nurse with a beak. There's just no way to do it. You have to be able to create suction to be able to nurse. So this means that if they have a beak head, or if they have a head of a bird, they cannot nurse. So they are going to have to be eating the partially digested food of the parent, which does mostly benefit from having a crop. So ultimately, I decided that likely griffons had an avian digestive tract. Now, I do prefer the griffons with the lion front feet. Compare that to the bird front feet. I just think it makes a lot more sense when it comes to behaviors like running. I think it would be a little uncoordinated to try and mix and match those, particularly since the feet of an eagle are really designed for hooking, grabbing, not for tearing or digging or fighting per se, at least not fighting other griffons, I assume. So at that point, I think we're going to have the lions at the front end. Now, I do want to pause here to highlight one of my favorite online comics that I've been reading for many, many, many years, more than I will admit, because they have the most adorable pigeon griffons. And this completely eliminates the problem with the weight and flight aerodynamics that I've got working on here. So give them some love, take a look, enjoy the comic. It is adult, just warning, but hilarious in its own ways, and as I said, pigeon griffons, so do that. Now, as for the big guys, and I may butcher the pronunciation on this, I went farther back than living birds and looked for the largest flying animal, and I found the Quetzalcoatlus northropi, which is the biggest flying animal ever. Of course, it was a dinosaur, and its structure is entirely different, but it did clock in at 250 pounds. So, I know that there's a big debate about 6 appendaged creatures. We have not evolved those on our on the Earth, with the exception of obviously insects, but we're talking bigger than that. We could make an argument for certain things like the spines of dinosaurs, like the Spinosaurus, the fans on the backs, even plates and things like that. It is possible that if those developed into wing appendages, you could end up with 4 legs and 2 wings. That's my opinion, at least. So I think it's possible to have a 6 appendaged animal. Leading on from there and saying that we have evidence of something as heavy as 250 pounds flying, I would say a griffin could possibly find a way to be flying. Maybe not exactly with the way the wings are often depicted, but I think we could pull it off overall. So, no magic required. I think griffins can fly. Now, that leads to a different problem, which is well, how the back end works. But since we've established that griffins have a digestive tract of an avian and also has a reproductive tract of an avian, so a cloaca and oviducts, it stands to reason that probably they poop like a bird. So be very careful if you do happen to see a griffon flying overhead. I guess that means that a griffon is basically a ginormous bird with fuzzy exteriors and extra claws. No magic required, though.